Chairman, you may proceed.
Okay. I want to welcome everybody to the June 28th, 2021 regular meeting of the Parks and Shade Tree Commission. And I think we'll be following the agenda as prescribed. So I'm going to start off with a roll call. Mr. Kesmodal.
Here.
Ms. Ritter.
Here.
Ms. Downs.
Here.
Okay, and Ms. Macha.
Here.
We also have with us Liz Lingo, the city arborist, and Glenn Mandalis, the attorney representing the city. We also have numerous people who are planning on speaking, for the various appeals. We have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of first. I gotta attend to my. I'm working with two screens, so bear with me. I'm in a whack here. Let's see. Did everybody get an opportunity to review the minutes? Ann was very industrious and has completed the minutes for the April 26th, May 24th, and June 14th meetings. Are we prepared to approve those minutes? Can someone make a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Okay.
Do
we want to do them as a group, or we don't want to do them individually? I just want to ask.
As a group, it's fine with me.
As a group, okay.
Was that the motion, Mr. Cosmodal?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're going to do them as a group. So you're entering a motion to approve the meeting minutes held on April 26th, May 24th, and June 14th, 2021 of the Parks and Shade Tree Commission. Everyone in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
I think we have a unanimous agreement on that. Okay, so that motion has passed. Okay, we also had some correspondence related to the 115 Rodney Street application, and I don't know if it's appropriate for us to read that in or just mention that has been so read and entered, or how do we proceed with that, Mr. Mandalis?
Just making reference to it is sufficient. Can all of the members, though, acknowledge that you've gotten that correspondence?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
And that correspondence was basically in favor of saving the trees on the front of the property, or to the extent it was, in support of saving the trees. We're going to have difficulties again with the pros and cons of this. Are you for that? Are you against the appeal, but you're for the trees? So I think that was the focus of that correspondence by a neighbor. Okay.
Right.
So,
just to be clear, Mr. Chair, we will incorporate that correspondence into the record of that hearing when you get there.
okay. All right. So I'm just trying to attend to the attend to our agenda. Okay. So I assume we're going to begin by new business for the appeal hearing number 052101, requested by Ridgetop Associates Trust, which is the owner of the property, and we will be hearing from the owner and other representatives, I think, from Garrison Homes, and I'm trying to see who else we have here. It was also listed for Ridgetop Associates, so I don't know if that was somebody else, but and then Mr. Rick Monkman from Jack Lingo Realty, and a Jen Hudson and Ava Amos from Garrison Homes. So I would like to know how, because I'm somewhat new at this, Mr. Mandela, how do we proceed in the order? Do we read the city's report and then take it from there, or?
Generally, Chair, we proceed with the city arborist giving her report, then we move to the applicant.
Okay, all right. So Liz Lingo, if you want to take it away.
Sure. Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. The following is the report of the city arborist with regard to the above referenced appeal, case number 052101, that is heard before the commission on Monday, June 28th, 2021. The applicant submitted a tree removal permit application to remove 5 trees related to the construction of a new home. The trees proposed for removal are 3 loblolly pines with diameters of 30 inches, 19 inches, and 18 inches. The trees remaining on site are 2 4-inch hollies, 7-inch cedar, 9-inch mulberry, and 10-inch magnolia. The removal of the 26-inch loblolly pine is not under question, as it is in the footprint of the new driveway without reasonable preservation alternatives. The 3 native loblolly pines are the subject of this appeal. They are in the front setback of the property and not in the footprint of the new home. As per City Code 253-26F, all reasonable efforts must be made to save protected trees on a lot. Reasonable efforts shall include, but not be limited to, alteration of building design, alternate location of buildings, parking area, water retention or drainage infrastructure, or relocation of utilities. In accordance with this code, the city requested the minor alteration of the walkway design for the pine tree located adjacent to the walkway. As can be seen in attachment 1, which is the proposed site plan submitted to the city, and attachment 2, which is the proposed site plan submitted to the commission, the applicant has modified the walkway. However, a slight curve around the trunk would further benefit the tree. If the application to remove these trees is permitted, there would be 56 inches of mitigation with 34 inches of tree caliper remaining on site. This would result in a planting requirement of 22 inches. To issue the permit, an approved planting plan will be required for those 22 inches. The commission has the sole authority to hear and decide this appeal. 253-36 Administrative Appeals, C. Authority of the Park and Shade Tree Commission. The Park and Shade Tree Commission shall have the authority to hear and decide appeals where it is alleged there is error in any decision made by the building inspector on an application for a tree removal permit or land clearing permit. In exercising its authority, the Park and Shade Tree Commission may reverse or affirm, wholly or in part, or may modify the building inspector's decision. Additionally, the Park and Shade Tree Commission has the authority to order a fee in lieu of mitigation. That's it.
Okay. Do we have any questions from any commissioners regarding Ms. Lingo's testimony? No? Okay. Well, I think now the court's back to, okay.
Mr. Chair, could I just put on the record a couple of things that are on the agenda so we're clear what's in the packet and what people have?
Okay.
So in the packet, the documents embedded in the agenda today are the public notice for 115 Rodney Street, the arborist report for 115 Rodney Street that Ms. Lingo just gave, the application for 115 Rodney Street. There's a memo from Ridgetop Associates Trust settlers. There's a proposed tree plan, certain photographs, and then the letter that was received from Mr. Cook at 807 Bayard Avenue. Thanks for that. So now, Mr. Chair, you typically would go to the applicant for their presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so I don't, I'm speaking to somewhat of a blank screen here in terms of who is going to take the first contribution to the hearing.
Good morning. This is Kathy. I'll be speaking this morning from the homeowner.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Kathy, and my husband and I appreciate the opportunity to address the commission today on our request to remove 3 loblolly pine trees on the southwest corner of our lot at 115 Rodney Street. Removing the trees would allow a straight walkway to connect the front steps of the house to the sidewalk, as well as to design a front lawn with new trees, landscaping, plants, and fencing that would provide some privacy, something that these high-limbed loblolly pines do not. Let me just say, please, that we've always dreamed of a house in Rehoboth, as so many homes in Rehoboth have those beautiful hydrangeas on the low fences. I envision magnolias or dogwood, redwood. And since our purchase of the vacant lot last year, we have learned a great deal about Rehoboth Beach ordinances regarding tree removal. We fully support the efforts of Arborist Ms. Lingo and the commission members to keep the town a beautiful treed community. The several large trees on the lot and property line, including a very large oak, is one of the reasons that we selected the site. Unfortunately, we had the misimpression when we purchased the lot that we would be able to remove the trees as long as we followed the established approval process and agreed to replace the trees with new ones on the property or elsewhere in Rehoboth Beach. We have watched several recent commission meetings, including the special meeting held on June 14th. In light of those discussions, and the interest of seeking an accommodation with the commission, we no longer seek the removal of the largest of the 3 pine trees under appeal, the one with the 30-inch diameter. We request the commission approve only the removal of the 2 other pine trees that are directly in front of the house. One that prevents the construction of a walkway from the front steps to the sidewalk, and the one next to it, which leans into the power lines along the street. If the commission grants approval for the removal of the 2 trees, we will plant native trees on the lot wherever practical. We understand that any trees to be removed need to be replaced by trees of equal total caliber with a pay difference for any difference in calibers. We hope that the commission will approve our request so that we can move forward with our plans to build our retirement home in a community that we have visited and vacationed regularly for the last 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Was there anybody else, or there were other folks going to contribute? Yes, this is Miss Amos. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Yes. This is Ms.
Sorry, I'm on the phone and it was muted. Yes, it's Eva Amos, and we won't be speaking. We were going to let Kathy cover it, which she did.
Okay. Okay, so was there anyone else? Was Mr. Monkman here? I don't know if we're having communication issues, but were there any other people interested in speaking?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. My name is Rick Monkman, and
Okay.
I was the realtor that worked with Kathy and her husband for the purchase of the lot. And in all fairness, it was our understanding that if you removed certain trees, there were ways the city, if you planted trees on city property, that would allow you to remove some of these trees that are in question. And as Kathy put it, these people are trying to preserve the character of Rehoboth Beach, and they're trying to they're trying to get these 2 trees removed. So we hope that the commission will understand their desires, and hopefully we can come to some sort of an agreement. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else? Okay. So I suppose it's an opportunity for the commission to speak. Ms. Amos, were you going to contribute?
I said no. We were going to let Kathy speak.
Okay, that's what I thought. I see lights flashing, and therefore I'm alert to that. Okay, so Does anybody else, does anyone on the commission have any comments that they'd like to make at this time?
Well, Liz, where is that oak tree? Is that on the property line?
Hey, you can see on, both the first and second attachment of mine, it's the one shown on the left, so the northwest, 36 inch, so it's shared, because the lot was subdivided,
Right.
so
It's on.
now it's a line tree.
So it's on the far, this lot is on the western side of the subdivide, is that correct? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, what's the status of the other property? Has that been sold, or we haven't received any building application for the other side?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I was curious.
I have a question about the actual subdivision, because on this plan that we received, it looks like 115 will sit in the middle of 3 lots. And if there are going to be 2 homes on that property and they were subdivided, it seems to me that that house would then straddle, right, a second lot, whether it's going to the left or the right, I'm not sure.
Well,
But-
I'm not really involved in the subdivision of lots so much, but I can say this is one lot and there will be one other separate lot. So it doesn't really affect the tree density so much.
Right. I thought it was a 100-foot lot that was subdivided into 250s.
That's what I thought too, but according to this picture, that can't be correct if it's across 3 lots, right? It's sitting in the middle.
Well,
It could be portions. It could be portions of each lot. I mean, we'll have a single property come in that'll have like 3 or 4 lots on it, but it's still only a 5,000 square foot lot. So that's not that crazy.
I guess my real question though is if there's an ability to shift the house a few feet so it has the straight walkway that the homeowner is desiring, is that a possibility so that we can save the trees?
Not with this design, I don't believe. I think they're kind of at their max for their setbacks, just a little bit of a margin for error, so to speak. But I mean, keep in mind, they're allowed a 5-foot wide walkway. They have theirs spec'd at 4, a minimum for walkway would be 3 feet. So it wouldn't be an issue to make it slightly more narrow there. Even if somebody was, needed an ADA walkway, 3 feet would suffice. I mean, it's residential, so it doesn't count, but just for comparison's sake.
Yeah, that's why I'm questioning the placement of the house on this picture that we've received on this plan, because it sits in the middle. It looks of 113, 15, and 17. So if there's a big side yard on the left or the right, and we have the ability to just shift a little bit, I think that would be something we could explore, right?
We usually look at all that, but that's also the engineer and architect's job. I mean, that's usually the easiest thing to do is shift forward or shift back or to the left or the right. But you can see on the site plan that they have 11.1 and 6.6. They don't have really room to shift it much, and 0.1 of a foot, I think.
Can I ask the property owner? I'm just a little confused. Are you? You're buying half of this 100 by 100 foot lot, are you not? Is that the case? I'm just trying to be clear.
Yeah, we're on one lot.
Right, but I'm just saying, are you on the? You're on the western side. This is the western side of what was.
We're on the eastern side. It was a double lot.
Right. Okay. So you're on the eastern side. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So. Because I don't remember what the address, I guess there was a skipped address number, for the previous house,
Well, I'm not aware of it.
Well, I don't know. Okay. All right. That's good. You see on the eastern side. That makes sense. All right. So were there any other comments or that you had or questions? I will say my concern, I mean, been,
Chair, before you start delivering, you should probably see if anybody from the public wants to speak.
oh, okay, do we have that? Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
I don't think there's anybody signed up, right, Ann? I just wanted to be sure.
I just had the list of people who on the list, and I think we covered them.
There's been no public to sign up for these cases.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
Thanks.
All right.
I would like to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So far, the property owners have not given reasons, they've not stated any reasons that give us the power to approve this appeal. Like, the only hardship is wanting to plant hydrangeas and having a straight walk, but that doesn't seem to me to be rise to the level of a true hardship. I mean, it's not like the trees are going to fall on the house or something. I need a little more clarity on what is the hardship that they're asking us to recognize.
So recall that there are 7 reasons under the city code that will allow for the tree to be removed. There's the boxes checked on the application are that first, that the tree is located where it creates or will create a material safety or health hazard or nuisance.
Okay, then what is the nuisance that it's going to create? Can they be specific? Give us a specific of what it is that they think.
And let me just mention the other one and then maybe go to the applicant for.
How are we going to decide this? Sorry, I didn't hear you, Glenn.
I was just going to say the second reason is that the tree prevents reasonable development of a lot, and then perhaps you want to go to the applicant to get some more specific details on those two issues.
That's what I'm saying. Could they address those particular things that they checked?
Can we hear from the applicant?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Yeah, thanks for asking those questions. So having those two, I understand we could leave that one, but having those two are so close right there to the front, right at the front door, and wanting to put in some type of other trees that would potentially provide some privacy are not able to be put there because those trees are right in that spot. So we, as you can see by our design, that we would put trees symmetrically on either side to provide for that. We couldn't put anything else in that front lot there with those 2 trees right there. We are prohibited from putting trees right in that spot. And the one is certainly heavily leaning into the power lines as well.
Is that the middle one?
Yeah, the middle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. If my comments, I guess, are, this is one of these, I think, principal examples of the benefit of a tree on someone's private property that benefits the rest of the neighborhood, and specifically the streetscape and the street itself. Actually, we in Rehoboth, I think certainly value the tree canopy that we have. We're somewhat obviously distinctive in that regard with other coastal communities because we have, I guess we have the infrastructure. Well, I'm going to say infrastructure, but we have the quality of soil and being somewhat of a headland that we're able to grow these trees, and that makes the city's distinctive and the character, which we always talk about, the character of Rehoboth and everything obviously includes these trees, and in particular Rodney Street, which is one of the great, I think one of the nicest streets in South Rehoboth, and I'm sharing that with Ms. Macha, who's a resident of that street. It has a tree canopy, and to me it has sort of like everything you want in a street in Rehoboth. And it's in South Rehoboth, which tends to have, not quite the tree density of other places in town, specifically what we call the pines in the northern side. And I just see that the benefit that we get from these three trees in particular, that are high canopy trees. They've been limbed over the years, and they don't have much in the way of lower branches, but they do provide a good bit of shade and the atmosphere, whatever that we have. And I'm just saying that value is going to be kind of missed, I think, should these trees come down, especially for the rest, for the benefit of the community, neighborhood, however you want to define it. So I'm somewhat reluctant to be supportive of this, simply because they do. I mean, I looked at them. I examined the situation, and they have been limbed away from the power lines, I think probably for a long period of time. I didn't see any real sense that they were leaning towards. There might be some character of it, leaning towards the power lines, but they didn't seem to be close to the power lines. It didn't seem they were in any kind of jeopardy or to interfere or anything like that. And they looked very healthy and erect, and not to be a tree that you'd be concerned about. So obviously, you buy a lot, you have to kind of consider what you're capable of doing. But these trees are clearly outside the buildable area of the house, and I just feel that you can replace these, but you can replace a tree, but you're never going to replace these trees and the trees and what they provide currently. And I think that's my principal reason for at this point, at least, not being supportive. If there's any other comments.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Bunky. But I would consider letting them take one of them down. Just because it would give a better chance for the other trees to do well, because they're all three pretty close together. So it would maybe benefit if one of them went down and they would have more light and more water and more space to spread out. But I'm up for whatever people agree about.
And I was thinking the same, and if maybe it's the one that is closest to the power lines, as the homeowner has pointed out here, is a concern.
So can I interject? When you have three trees approximately the same size and height, and they're semi-isolated like that, it actually would be detrimental to remove one, because they're used to kind of protecting each other, which is why sometimes when you see large site you'll see huge developments outside of Rehoboth take place, and they'll clear a forest and then leave a stand, and then within a year, half that stand is blown, fallen over, or died. So they do kind of create their own little group and protect each other, and much in the way a forest does.
I mean, they're pretty.
I agree with that. I mean,
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Katie.
I'm sorry?
I couldn't hear you.
You do agree or you don't agree?
I agree with what Liz is saying. I mean, that's correct. That's absolutely correct from my knowledge of urban forestry.
I move we deny the appeal.
And I second that.
Well, if you're going to make a motion, I'd like you to make the motion in the affirmative, and then we can decide to not deny it.
So the chair is suggesting that you move in the affirmative, meaning that you move to grant the appeal. Therefore, it's easier when you're voting. So you know that if you vote yes, it is for the appeal. If you vote no, it's not for the appeal.
Okay. Now you lost me.
Use it.
And you don't have to vote, for the motion if you make the motion in the affirmative. You can vote either way.
Were you
I-
prepared? to make
Okay, I move. I hate this. Okay, move that we grant that. You want me to say I move that we grant the appeal and then vote
You make a
no?
motion that the appeal be approved, and then we vote on it.
Okay, I make a
famous
motion
Ritter to
that
say,
the appeal be approved.
Did she say what we wanted?
yes,
Did
but
she-
notwithstanding the fact that I think Ms. Ritter is opposed to the appeal, she's moving in the affirmative to grant the appeal for purposes of voting. And you need a second to that.
Say that?
This seems confusing.
This is more confusing than just, I move that we deny the appeal. I don't care how the record, I'm in favor of denying this appeal. That's pretty easy for us all to vote on. It's not confusing.
No.
I don't think they've met the requirements for us to approve an appeal, and I therefore feel we must, in all conscience, deny this appeal.
Is there a way around
That's
this, Glenn? I mean,
That's my motion. You guys can sort it out later. That's my motion.
do we want to get somebody else to make the appeal? Excuse me, to make the motion?
Well, there's a motion, so it can be seconded. There's no legal flaw to the motion, so it can be seconded if somebody so desires.
Didn't Katie do it? Didn't Katie?
So I second the motion to deny the appeal.
Yes.
Okay. You have seconded it, okay.
Correct.
Okay, so we're voting to deny, all right?
Yes.
Is that what we're saying? So if we say, I guess it's terrible. So Glenn, do we say yes to the no? Is that what we're saying? I mean,
That's right. That's right. A yes vote is to deny the appeal, not to grant the appeal.
Okay, that's why we were trying to do the opposite. And I want everybody to be clear what they're voting on.
Right.
Right.
A yes is a no
Understand.
to the appeal. And please give reasons for why you're voting, how you're voting. You can rely upon each other's reasons.
Okay,
Who wants to go first? Me?
we have a motion on the floor. Is anyone?
Okay, I'll vote to agree with, they can't take the trees down because there's no legitimate reason to.
Okay, so you're voting yes to deny.
Yes.
Okay. We have one vote so far. Laura,
Next. Oh, sorry.
you want to go next, Rachel?
I'm just going across the Hollywood squares here.
Okay. I don't think everybody sees each other the way uniform. We're in different places, so go right ahead.
All right, so I'll vote yes and agree with Ned. I'll also just add that the trees do not impede the building envelope, and I do think that they do provide the shade that we all enjoy and we're trying to preserve here in Rehoboth.
Okay, thank you. Katie, do you want?
And yeah, I agree with Rachel, and I agree with Ned and with Laura. I believe that, due to the principle and wanting to save the trees and the fact that they're not within the building envelope, that they should be saved.
Okay, so
And
you're
they provide.
yes to deny. I just want to be clear.
Yes, I'm voting yes to deny the appeal.
Okay, thank you. And Laura, have you cast a vote?
I am voting yes to deny the appeal, and I would also like to say that I think we have a very good arborist. If anybody has any going forward, I think the public should be aware that we have these rules, and it is, if you buy a lot, you need to contact the city yourself and ask the questions. It's not the city's job to go and tell you which trees. It's your job when you're getting ready to buy a lot to find out what the rules actually are. And realtors and the public should be much more aware of the importance of every single tree, especially those in the front setback. These are the most public trees we have along our streets, and we all in Rehoboth treasure them. So in light of all those things, I vote yes to deny the appeal.
Okay. And I, as chair, also vote yes to deny. I give sympathy to the appellant that, you know, and kind of a harsh way to say welcome to Rehoboth, but please understand that what you have, and I don't mean to preach or anything like that, but you have we in Rehoboth feel you have a precious thing, or three precious things, and possibly more precious things. But the idea of having these mature trees that still have a useful life, contribute greatly to the overall atmosphere and culture, and however you want to define that, charm of the city, is something that we value and revere. And I hope in your developing this property, which I expect that you will be tremendously happy being in, you know, it may not be the idealized vision that you have at the moment, but I think there are idealized visions that you can create that would be, you know, very pleasing for you, and you know, living here, as I think we all recognize. And this is, I just see this as this is a contribution that you're making to the rest of the city, and we do appreciate it. And that's kind of, I think, the reason why we have voted the way we have this morning. So I thank you. Any other comments? I suppose we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Wait, you need to say appeal denied, unanimously denied, or
We have
something like that?
we have unanimously denied the appeal. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Glenn, are we on to the next item of the agenda? I'm sorry. This is sort of my trial this today.
You're doing great, Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. You're on to the next application.
I need a lot of reinforcement. I appreciate it. Okay, so the next item I had was the one Rehoboth Avenue, folks, and I'm not sure. Let's see, we had a representative, Lorri Grayson. Is Lorri Grayson here? Or well, first I just want to make sure you're here.
Yes,
or,
I'm definitely here.
Okay, here we go. But I wanted to have Liz Lingo present for the city. She can issue her report, and this is for, or you're going to state it, but for the I'm going to just say the property at 1 Rehoboth, but you can, if you don't mind stating the appeal number and so forth in your report. Okay.
Okay, we ready for me to go ahead?
Yeah, I think we are.
Right. The following is a report of the city arborist with regard to the above referenced appeal, case number 0521-02, that is to be heard before the commission on June 28, 2021. The applicant for 1 Rehoboth Avenue has applied to convert the second level of a commercial building into a residential dwelling unit. As such, it is required to meet a minimum density of 2 trees per dwelling unit and any pertinent sub-requirements. Since it is a commercial lot with no natural area, there is no location to plant the required trees. It is the city arborist's recommendation that an appropriate fee in lieu be granted for the 2 required trees. The Parks and Shade Tree Commission has the authority to grant a fee in lieu of mitigation. 253-36 Administrative Appeals. 1. Fee in lieu of mitigation. A fee in lieu of mitigation may be granted only by the Park and Shade Tree Commission through the appeals process and upon a recommendation from the city arborist. Before granting a fee in lieu of mitigation, the applicant must demonstrate that the replacement of trees on the project site is not a viable option because meeting the requirements of this article would result in undue hardship, that all reasonable alternatives relevant to protection and mitigation have been exhausted, and that granting a fee in lieu of mitigation will not adversely impact the intent and purposes of these regulations. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. Do we have any questions? Anyone have any questions for Liz at this time? I'm seeing blank stares.
That being the case, Mr. Chair, can I put on the record again that there's
Okay.
four items in the packet. First is the public notice for 1 Rehoboth Avenue. Next is the arborist report that Ms. Lingo just read into the record. Third is the application. And finally, there's a tree plan. Thanks for that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions regarding the materials that you've received? Okay.
No.
So who of the applicants would like to speak first?
Mr. Chair, this is Keith Fisher, Fisher Architecture.
Right.
Sort of representing them.
Okay.
Much like you, Mr. Chair, go easy on me. This is my first time in front of this commission also.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
We'll have a beer later.
We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. Yeah, yeah, really appreciate everything this group does in as you put it in the last one, protecting the fabric as best you can. You're all fairly familiar, I believe, with the site. We are converting that second floor into a viable option. Great boardwalk apartment spot, and as such, the code kind of throws us into that having to produce that threshold of the two trees. As you can see, truly the only available land area to plant anything would be in that slice of an alley. We gave it a shot, drew something in, which pretty much locks it down to those two finite areas. I will add that alley is a primary source of egress from a fire protection code standpoint, as well as there's a tremendous amount of utilities that go into that alley, a tremendous amount of stuff that we think we know, but we don't know actually what's underground. So there's that. And I also would add that if we are required to plant these trees where the only location shows, I'm not a professional arborist, but I would suggest that those trees would not be in the best interest of those plants in that alley from a sunlight perspective, as well as maintenance and kind of having to keep them limited to their size because of the egress situation. So with that, we're respectfully asking for that fee in lieu option so that other more viable locations can be enhanced that would be in the best interest of the future trees, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have anyone have any questions for the applicant's representative, I guess? I saw also Mr. Silver was here. Did you want to contribute as well?
No, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to echo, what Keith said, that we just want to do what's in the best interest of these trees, and the alley just does not really seem like the best option. So,
right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
In light of the fact that Liz also agrees with the applicant that there isn't a good place on the property to plant trees, I move that we allow a fee in lieu of mitigation.
Okay. Before you make a vote, well, I'll leave that. But I just said, does anybody else have any comments?
We're already at 10:43, so I think we're probably all going to agree on this one also.
Yeah, I think so. But okay, I just want to make sure that that's been heard or whatever. I mean,
can we just have Ann confirm for the record that nobody else has signed up to speak on this application?
I have no one signed up.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, I mean, I see this as being very similar to the one that we did back in March. That there really wasn't a viable place. I mean, we could try to concoct some means of putting two trees there, but the likelihood that they're going to survive is probably next to nil. And so I think would someone like to second Laura's motion?
I would second it, but I would add in there, the mitigation should be $1,200.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Wait, so let's make sure Ms. Ritter agrees to that. That's an amendment to Ms. Ritter's motion. Does Ms. Ritter, go ahead.
I agree to that.
Okay, so the motion is to grant a fee in lieu of mitigation of $1,200.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Correct.
And I second that.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table. Any other comments, or do you wish to? Anybody have a comment? Okay. We prepared to vote?
Yes.
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 I think we have another unanimous vote
Yes.
here. Okay. So that was pretty easy, I think. Anyway, so we have voted to approve the applicant's desire for mitigation, and we've set the mitigation at $1,200. And, any other comments from anyone? Okay. So moved. I believe.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And now we're on to the last item here, which is 503 Jones Lane. Let's see. Glenn, did you want to mention just the materials that we have?
Thank you for that, Mr. Chair. There is in the packet for this application, the public notice for 503 Jones Lane, the Arborist report, which Ms. Lingo will give in a moment, the application for 503 Jones. There's a letter dated April 28, 2021 from Mr. McGregor. There is a tree plan for 503 Jones Lane.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's from McGregor Custom Homes, the letter.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Liz, you want to give us your report?
Sure. The following is the report of the city arborist with regard to the above referenced appeal, case number 052103, that is to be heard before the commission on Monday, June 28th, 2021. A tree removal application has requested the removal of 4 trees on the lot. No trees are proposed to remain. The trees are native silver maples with diameters of 36 inches, 27 inches, 24 inches, and 14 inches. 3 of those trees are specimens, which would equate to 87 inches of mitigation required, or 29 3-inch diameter trees to be planted. It is the city arborist's recommendation that the commission require the planting of 3 native species in compliance with minimum density requirements in 25326 and grant the appropriate fee in lieu for the remaining 78 inches of diameter. A planting plan showing the species size and location of these 3 trees is required prior to the issuance of the permit. While the applicant has submitted a planting plan to the commission, it does not meet the minimum density sub-requirements. There is a maximum of 1 smaller ornamental species permitted per 5,000 square feet, and the applicant has proposed 3 small species. The Parks and Shade Tree Commission has the sole authority to grant a fee in lieu of mitigation, 25336 Administrative Appeals 1. Fee in lieu of mitigation. A fee in lieu of mitigation may be granted only by the Park and Shade Tree Commission through the appeals process and upon a recommendation from the city arborist. Before granting a fee in lieu of mitigation, the applicant must demonstrate that the replacement of trees on the project site is not a viable option because meeting the requirements of this article would result in undue hardship, that all reasonable alternatives relevant to protection and mitigation have been exhausted, and that granting a fee in lieu of mitigation will not adversely impact the intent and purposes of these regulations.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Okay. So we have the appellant here to provide information. Is that let's see, is it McGregor? Is the McGregor representative here, or is he?
Yes, my name's Robin Dole. I'm the property owner.
The property owner. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and are you ready for me?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to address the commission today. I really appreciate it. Want to share the plan for 503 Jones Lane. In the way of background, I bought the lot in October of 2020, and I had no idea at the time how much was going to be involved in this part of it. I plan to move to Rehoboth Beach within the next few years. I've been visiting here most of my life, and I'm really looking forward to retiring here in Rehoboth Beach. I was really excited to find this lot because I was unaware of this gorgeous neighborhood, Oak Grove at the beach, and I think it'll be wonderful. My lot is pretty typical Rehoboth lot. It's 50 by 105. So it's 5 feet over the usual 50 by 100.
Right.
And I have about 46 feet in setbacks. In addition, Oak Grove at the beach has covenants that mandate a shared entryway or driveway for my lot and the adjacent lot, which already has a house and a driveway on it. So this leaves a fairly small area for my house within that lot. In addition, Oak Grove architectural standards mandate house sizes. So they say that the house must be a minimum of 2,000 square feet, and the first floor has to be a minimum of 1,000 square feet. So with all the restrictions, there's really no other option for how to site this house or design the house on the lot. So there are 3 trees in the front that would need to be removed because they are in the footprint of the house, which the total square footage of the house is only a little over 2,300 square feet. And there's one small tree in the back of the lot that is in the footprint of the proposed parking pad that we put in due to the very limited parking in that neighborhood.
So can I ask you, is your lot is accessible to a Canal Street on the back?
No, it's on Jones Lane.
Right, no, but the back of it, does it? Okay, so
it backs up against some townhouses.
Oh, those
and
townhouses.
a fence.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm on this little, they call it a cul-de-sac. I kind of call it a pipe stem because there's not even anywhere to turn around on that street.
That was done deliberately, believe it or not.
Yes.
So,
the city arborist recommends that we plant 3 native species, and I am more than willing to do that. I initially selected 3 trees that I really like, but I didn't realize that it wouldn't meet the density requirements. So I'm more than willing to meet the density requirements and plant trees that are appropriate. And I also would like to say I inherited the love of flowers and shrubs and trees from my grandmother. So I do plan to make my yard as nice as possible with trees and shrubs and whatever I can plant. The city arborist also recommends the commission grant an appropriate fee in lieu of mitigation. There's no way we can plant 29 trees on that lot. I think it'll be hard to get 3 on a few smaller ones in. It's my hope you'll grant a reasonable fee since everything has been quite a substantial expense, and I wasn't aware of the considerable costs involved, both in time and money. So I really just hoping today I'll find out I can build a house that I'll enjoy for many years to come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did you have any other, do we have, there are no other people that are going to speak, is that I assume? And any comments from the commissioners? Possibly, let's discuss this before we make a motion, if we can do that. And I know we got a time coming up. Any comments from anyone?
I can only, there was a case similar to this on Columbia a few years ago, where there was an undeveloped lot and they were building a house with a pool. And we decided that there was a maximum fee. Now, whether that maximum fee, and I think that was $5,000 at the time. Now, whether that maximum fee should go up now, since that was like 8 years ago or so, that's a discussion that we need to have. And then the other thing, well, Liz can say about the trees, the 3 trees they picked are not you know, they're all small, so that has to be addressed too.
Okay. Did you have any other, anyone else have any other comments? I just wanted to make a comment, which is Oak Grove, for the uninitiated, and I don't think there are any uninitiated here on the panel, but I spent close to 2 years on the partitioning of that, you know, back when I was on the planning commission. I'm sorry to keep bringing up planning commission war stories, but we spent a good bit of time in an attempt to protect the trees, because we thought it was a unique, it used to be kind of a trailer, not trailer court, but a little cabin court in it. It was it was old Rehoboth, you know, writ large. And so, you know, there was a number of things that were changed as far as the, you know, the ordinances that were in place at the time, with that small street that you mentioned, which is, you know, the trash trucks have to back out of it. You know, it's unique to the city, but in an attempt to try to maintain the sort of atmosphere of old Rehoboth, and to try to save what trees would remain after you know, became developed. And we knew there was obviously, I forget how many houses went in, there was 15 or something like that. But anyway, I just find it somewhat sad, I guess more than anything else, that you know, this lot, and it was actually one of the smaller lots, you know, on the property, is going to be probably devoid of the trees that were there. And I mean, it's understandable, and I certainly understand that the trees that were there, some were really nice specimens and others not so much. And, you know, I think they lost a couple just in the process of clearing the lot, so clearing the whole space for the lot. But I'm just somewhat saddened. I'm just going to express that it comes to this, where we really have to, you know, remove these trees that are there, and then, you know, replace them or do mitigation or whatever. So I commend the property owner for at least expressing her desire to plant a mature replacement tree. Now, Liz, do you know about that? I mean, what's that? That's she's suggesting a larger tree to meet the minimum density.
So the rule is you can only have a max of one of those small or ornamental species, and then so at least one tree has to be essentially a canopy tree, an oak, a birch, a maple. You can have two of those, or you can have one and an evergreen like a pine or a holly or a cedar.
Okay.
So it's an easy fix with their tree plan.
Okay.
And I'll just add the fact that these trees are sitting in the, you know, net buildable lot. I mean, we don't, Robin doesn't have much choice here, right? So we obviously want her to build a beautiful home of you know, her choice here, but the fact that the trees are sitting on that net buildable piece of the property, obviously she really doesn't have a choice.
Right. I wasn't really commenting on trying to save anything.
Understood.
That's a given, but I was just lamenting their loss.
I understand.
But anyway, so what are your feelings about the mitigation aspect?
Well, I mean, if we did $600 for for one Rehoboth, $600 per tree for Rehoboth, I think we should, for Rehoboth Avenue, I think we should at least figure out what that cost would be.
It would be over 7,000.
And then see if that's even a reasonable amount.
Yeah, that doesn't seem reasonable to me.
No, I already checked it out what it might be, and it was over 17,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me interject here quickly. So the total was 29 trees, but they're going to plant 3 on site. So it would really be 26 you would be calculating a fee in lieu for. So it would come to 15,600. But Ned, what he said earlier, to my understanding, is correct, and we've referenced it a couple of times since I've been here, which is over 5 years now, and that the 5,000 was for lots up to 5,000 square feet. Lots over 5,000 square feet were $10,000, but that was back when you charged $500 a tree, I believe. And I think Glenn can probably speak to that a little better than I, because
Yeah.
mine's more just recounting what we've discussed.
I actually have the minutes from the 2014 meeting that I can read this short portion. So it says the consensus of the commission members was to adopt its own policy to use the mitigation written in section 253-33 of the proposed tree ordinance. For trees being removed, the quantity of replacement trees shall be 1 if the tree is less than 12 inches caliper, 1 replacement tree is required. 2, if the tree is 12 inches to 24 inches caliper, 2 replacement trees will be required. 3, if the tree is 24 inches to 36 inches caliper, three replacement trees will be required. And 4, if the tree is 36 inches or more caliper, 4 replacement trees will be required. The fee in lieu of mitigation would be $500 for each replacement tree. The cap on the fee should be $5,000 for a 5,000 square foot lot and $10,000 for 10,000 square feet. So if you add up all of the 4 trees, under this analysis, the 36-inch tree would equate to 3 trees, the 27-inch tree would equate to 3, the 24-inch tree would equate to 3, and the 14-inch would equate to 2, making 11 trees. So at $500 under this 2014 analysis that was adopted, that would result in a fee in lieu of $5,500. But as Liz said, she's going to be planting 3 trees, so there should be some recognition of that as well.
Well, Glenn, wait, didn't you say 36 inches and larger was 4 trees?
I'm sorry, you're right. If it's 36 inches or more,
should be
4. So
Okay,
so it should be 12 trees, not 11.
12, okay.
Should make it $6,000.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I mean, we haven't followed in the 5.5 years I've been doing this, the fee limits we've followed, but that strange way that, I mean, the code sets out how the mitigation is calculated. That way that the city solicitor just read, we have not utilized since I've been here.
Yeah, I don't recall doing the actual how many trees does it equate to based upon the size of tree coming down. We've used 5,000, 10,000, I think, caps we've considered.
Yeah, since I've been here in 5.5 years, we have used those caps. So in this case, the cap would be 10,000 if we honored the old prices. Or fees, rather.
Just point of information, how much would it be if we went with $600 a tree? Are we saying there were 12 trees?
Right.
It's 7,200.
It's 26 is the number of trees required per the code. Minus, well, that's already subtracting the 3 that they're going to plant. So 29 total, 3 on site, 26 left.
Does that come out to $15,000?
26 times what, 600? 15,600. 26 times 500 is 13,000.
What do y'all think?
I mean, I'll just give you my view. I feel like with the situation and the fact that these trees are obviously in this net buildable area, I feel like we should max do the 5,000 fee in lieu of mitigation, that maximum. That's my view.
Well, wait, the maximum for their lot would be 10,000 because they're over 5.
Right.
Okay, just
She's
making
over
sure.
5,000. She's got 5 extra feet.
I'd be leaning more towards 10.
I'm leaning towards the whole 15,600, but I would go along with 10. I think when you buy a lot, at the cost that lots are in Rehoboth, if you're going to cut down the trees, you need to replace them. That's our community. You need to be cognizant of that when you buy a lot. And I don't think $15,000 is that much compared with what the cost of this lot and the house is gonna be. It's minor. It's a walk, it's not that big. It's not that much.
I'd also just suggest though, Laura, that, there's a responsibility on behalf of the city to also help educate, right? The realtors, the builders, so that as they're talking to potential, new homeowners, that they're sharing this information too.
Well, I agree with you on that, but I think that
I
we would
agree with
be amiss to base our decisions on the fact that people didn't get properly informed. At this point, that's neither here nor there. They weren't properly informed, so now they're faced with a higher fee. But I don't think this is that much of a higher fee in the overall scheme of things. That's how I feel. I feel these trees, these big, huge shade trees in the middle of an area that's practically all concrete now are a resource. And if you're going to cut them down, you should replace them somewhere. That's simple.
I'm sure the new homeowner is also paying for the removal of those trees. There's an expense there as well. I mean, she bought the lot. It's the buildable portion of her lot. She doesn't have a choice.
Well,
I do say part of that education you talked about would be educating our designers and architects to pay attention to site features so that when they design things in the future, they can try and, at this point, the code says we can require design changes. At this point, when they've already spent, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 designing their house, whatever it costs, it seems unreasonable to require $10,000 in design changes. But what my hope is for the future is that the more time the builders, architects, engineers, people experience this, and frankly, the inconvenience, both financially and time, that it gets through to them that they need to pay attention to these features when they're designing homes. So that, would we be able to save all 4 trees? No, but could we have saved 1 or 2 at the start? Probably.
Yeah, there are some that are in the front of the yard, but obviously you make a smaller house, but is that trade-off meaningful to the property or not?
You wouldn't have even had to make a smaller house. So say the large tree in the front, that bump out. Well, there's room back behind the pool, and like I said, and it looks like a porch. So there's always other options, but this far along, it would just be so difficult to do a complete redesign. So I've always felt that that's unreasonable unless it's relocating a pool or a walkway or something like that. They could do away with that parking pad that's attached to the pool, like a patio back there, but that would only save a 14-inch tree. So, and it is their right to have that parking pad there. And we can't tell them, no, you can't have that because the code allows it.
Right.
Well, I think we just really need to decide on what the mitigation is, and I'm perfectly happy between 5 and 10.
I think 10 is a minimum because of her lot size. Her lot size is 10,000 is more than 5,000 square feet. So 10 is a minimum based on whatever it was that we read.
Right, and I agree with that. I think it should be 10,000.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Because that's.
Uh-oh. I lost Katie.
Katie, is she going to make a motion, Katie?
I lost everybody. My internet connection is really weak up here. And
okay. Laura, were you prepared to make a motion?
Okay, I move that we allow a fee in are you guys going I need some.
We would be approving.
Is 10,000
and then set the.
Would you go for 12? Would you go for 12, Bunky?
Not me.
How about Bunky?
I would, but I don't think Ned would.
No.
Okay, how about Katie?
Well,
I don't want the motion to
Liz,
fail
the,
over $2,000. So if
what was the consensus of other folks? Because I couldn't hear what they were saying. My internet connection blanked out.
I would not go to 12. I'm 10 if we have to.
I think there's consensus at 10.
Okay, I move that we set a fee of mitigation of $10,000.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay.
And I vote yes. Is that what I do?
I think we're voting yes this time.
Can we give some reasons though on this one why you're?
Yes, your justification.
Well, I would say because that's what we wrote into the record back in, what'd you say, 2014, that if the lot was slightly over the standard, it would be $10,000 at max. So we're just following what we said we were going to follow.
Okay.
Right. And I agree with that. I mean, if it's written in, we need to change what's written if we, if we want to, try to, do something other than that. So I would say $10,000 is what it should be via the, because of what's written in code.
Is it actually code though that you read, Glenn?
I think it was.
It's not really code, but you read.
Clear, and you're in the voting phase, so I don't want to have too much deliberation on this, but just to be clear, what I read is from minutes of a commission meeting in 2014 when the commission established its own policy.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's what we should follow.
Until we're
It's
on.
not actually code, and I think Glenn, can we set it at whatever we want legally?
Well, certainly there are extremes that would not be sustainable if challenged in court, but yes, you're not required.
Wait, now I'm breaking up.
You're not required to go by the policy that you set in 2014. But there is a motion, it's at $10,000 and you're in the process of voting. So you should follow through with the vote.
And I vote yes.
Ned votes yes. Katie voted yes. Is Laura voting yes? You made the motion.
I'm voting yes with it. I made the motion and I'm voting yes. And I hope that the property owner would also make a contribution to the city of the remaining $5,000 that she actually owes for the cost, for the actual circumferences of all of the caliper of all those trees. But I still will set the fee at $10,000. I vote yes to set the fee at $10,000.
Rachel, what say you?
I'm honestly going to vote no. I feel like there are some extenuating circumstances here that we should consider. One is, just the awareness and education part of the homeowner as they're considering the property. Plus two, obviously, we've just discussed the fact that many of these trees are in the buildable lot and there are already some restrictions in that area, which I'm not very familiar with. But that's my vote. Okay.
All right. I'm going to vote yes for the $10,000, and I think this is an accommodation for the property owner. I think we're trying to impress the importance of trees on lots and for potential property buyers to beware of what that means in the city of Rehoboth. I will say that this lot is slightly larger than 5,000. It's over the 5,000, but it's less than 10. So I'm willing to make some kind of accommodation as far as that's concerned. But it's a small price. I think it's a very small price to pay for what we're losing as far as the original trees that were in Oak Grove. Okay, so we have a 4-to-1, 4 votes in favor and 1 vote not in favor for this, and so moved. Are we good with that?
Did Katie
Thank
vote?
you. Thank you all.
Yes, Katie voted for $10,000.
Okay.
Biddy.
Yeah. So I think that's all that we had on our agenda today. The only other question was the materials that I sent as far as the recommendations and comments I was going to pass on to the mayor and commissioners. Is there any comments about that? Or any additions or changes that you want to make on that? Rachel?
I just had a comment. One of your points was around notifying the neighbors of, removing a tree. We had quite a bit of discussion around that. And I think honestly, no one was really in favor of that except for you. And I just think that should be noted that, we had a lot of discussion around it, but as a group, we did not feel strongly that that was.
I can make that. I made the comment sort of in advance of all those things. So there was an agreement on all those things, but I can clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll copy you on my revised draft. I'm going to send that along if we get that off our plate. Unless there's any other actions that need to be taken as far as the agenda is concerned.
Move to adjourn?
Yeah. I knew Ann's got to leave at 11:30, so hopefully we're in under the wire. I appreciate all your comments today and also for the appellants, and I appreciate your wisdom and concern for these issues, and thank you all. All right. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting now.